Hello and welcome to another episode of the Be Awesome at Facility Management podcast. And we've got another doozy for you. This is episode 15. We had so many guests, we can't get them all on the screen in the same size, but I'm your one of your hosts, Joshua Peach, and it looks like our other host, Mr. Paul Anastasi, is at home, his main residence today in Watertown.
Yeah,
so
Watertown, Massachusetts.
Welcome back, Paul. It's been last week we were in Ohio together. It seems like it was just yesterday. So this is actually a very interesting podcast because this will go down as our first referral podcast. So all of the episodes up to now have had a direct relationship with Paul or myself or both of us. And this actually came from another podcast host, Griffin Hamilton, who had Dr. Chris Bunch, who's going to introduce you to he and Nona and David in a second from Pride Industries. But Griffin reached out to me a couple of weeks ago and he said, hey, I had Chris on and their story and their company is right in line with what you guys are doing. So I don't know if you're interested, but I'll introduce you. Introduced us. Kat lined it up, who's on Chris's team, for us to have a pre-call. And we're like, this is perfect. But we got to have some feet on the street. So Chris Bunch is a vice president at Pride Industries, and he's going to get into that. And we've got David Cuevas. Did I say it right? Cuevas. And his beard is just mesmerizing. It's just perfect. And Nona Wolf, who are in San Diego. So welcome everybody. What I want to do is I'm going to have Chris open up and tell us a little bit about Pride, and then I want to talk about a day in the life of Pride Industries in beautiful San Diego with David and Nona. So Chris, welcome to the podcast, and dig in. Let us know what Pride Industries is all about.
Well, Paul, Joshua, thanks for having us. First off, Pride Industries is the largest employer of people with disabilities in the United States. We are a nonprofit social enterprise that focuses on finding employment and career opportunities for people with disabilities across the country. We do that in a whole host of ways. We provide facilities maintenance services that are all-encompassing. We do that roughly in about 140 million square feet of facilities in 13,000 different buildings across the U.S. Landscaping, custodial, pretty much everything you need to do to take care of your core building envelope and environment, Pride Industries provides a solution for. And we do that on a competitive basis. The key difference in that being, though, is that we focus on providing the same competitive service delivery solution that anybody else would. However, our proceeds, rather than going to shareholders and dividends, go back into the company and invest in the lives of people with disabilities and trying to find better paths for them. And we do, that's more specifically on my side of the organization. We also do manufacturing, logistics services, placements, work groups. There's a full concert of ways that we try to help the population of people with disabilities. And I know David will be able to speak really well to the work group side, and Nona will be able to, speak from the experience of being embedded into it. But, today, though I use the word social enterprise, we started off kind of a small dream and a small heart in 1966 at St. Luke's Episcopal Church in Auburn, California. We're a group of people, parents who all had children with developmental disabilities, tried to come up with a way to find purpose, meaning, and gainful employment for their children. And over the course of since that time has evolved into pretty much the largest organization of our type, providing all types of solutions across the U.S. Really, we have to credit our late CEO, Mike Ziegler, for that transformation. Happened in the 80s, where really we grew out of how do we become a social program to a social enterprise, with the key difference being that a social enterprise competes on the open market just like anybody else, but we do so with a social purpose. So today we're roughly about 6,000 employees. over 60% of those are individuals with disabilities that are marginalized in the employment environment in other ways. And I think the key thing that is really important for your listeners is that when you look at especially the staffing challenges and just the environment that's happened today as a result of COVID, there's a population of dedicated and able employees out there that has been marginalized outside of the workforce. There's roughly 30 million people in the United States with a disclosed disability. And in that population, over 70% of them experience unemployment or underemployment and are untapped into the work environment and untapped into the marketplace. And Pride has the pleasure of being a force enabler to bring those folks in and to provide solutions for anybody looking for them. So,
wow, 30 million. When we were talking about 8% of the total population in the United States, I think the latest number was something like 360, 380 million, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So, and you actually, so I listened to your, I creeped on you a little bit. I like to do that with my guests especially the ones I don't know that well. Paul and I always try to find things that we don't know about someone. When we have brand new guests, it's all brand new, unless I creep on people. So, but you have a pretty good, an amazing story, because did you start out as a client, or you started out as someone observing Pride Industries before joining Pride Industries, right? It was like you found them just as much as they found you, or you found them more than they found you.
Yeah, actually, I love to tell my story with Pride started way back in 1998, far before I ever worked with them or worked for them. I was pretty fresh off the farm. If you can't tell, I'm not a native Californian, though it's probably washed out pretty good now. But joined the United States Air Force and got stationed at Travis Air Force Base. And so as I came into Travis, my first meal ever served to me was served by an individual with disabilities at Pride Industries there at the Chow Hall. Went to work and literally bonded to the shop I worked in. Was a Pride Industries shop that did the signs, did the painting. You go out, they were doing the landscaping across the base, which we still do today, by the way. And then also, as my life transitioned, you get married, you move into base housing. Pride Industries is taking care of my home. And so, I always like to tell the story. My journey with Pride started long before I ever worked with them. And so I've got to see the impact that they've had for a long time. And it's been a joy to watch from afar, and as well as even greater joy to be a part of. So,
very, very cool. No, I always like to see, and when I was looking around and listening to some things, I thought that was really neat, because it's that experience outside of the paycheck that you go, wow, this is a great place to be and a great place to work. So that's wonderful. Well, I got to tell you, I gotta ask David and Nona, because I know that they're excited to share their stories, and I got to hear a little bit of them before we got on, because this was the first episode with no audio video technical difficulties. We planned 15 to 20 minutes of troubleshooting, and and today, Paul, we had no troubleshooting.
We got right on. I was a little late because I did come from doing something that makes me money. I have a job every once in a while. I am retired, but I still go to work to stay out of my wife's way. But I did come on a little late, and I got on just in time because we were talking about favorite Mexican restaurants in San Diego. So it was great for me.
The whole the paying in hugs and T-shirts just doesn't pay the bills, huh?
Yeah, hugs and T-shirts are good. I mean, it keeps me in these shirts and all that good stuff. I still got to go outside and make money. I drive a big truck. It needs gas and all that good stuff.
Oh, gas! I don't even want to get into how much gas is in California right now.
I can tell you, and it's probably worse in San Diego. I drive a big diesel truck, and $6.39 a gallon.
Oh, wow!
So,
I live here in Mass, and we have a lot of taxes on our gas in Mass, but we're at $4 and change.
Yeah,
but in New Hampshire, tax-free New Hampshire, live free or die. I got it for $3.83 this past Sunday.
Oh, we're bringing gas cans with us for the trip next week.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring some gas across the border. So David, let's start with you, my friend. How did you find Pride? What have you done over the course of your career there? And some of the things that excite you. And then I want to get to Nona and hear all about her story because she's got 14 years of it to share.
Of course, yeah, no. So for me, I don't know how much time we have on this podcast, but I'll try
as much as you need.
So when I started my journey working, initially at Partnerships with Industry, which is the same type of support agency that provides adults with disabilities, an opportunity for us to find them a job. It was actually a summer job for me. I was in college, started driving. Of course, I started learning that in order, to drive a car, you need gas. God forbid we had those prices back then, but then it broke down. So guess what? Got to fix the car. Going to school, not working. That's it. You gotta learn all the responsibility of it. So I stumbled across, Partnerships with Industry back then that partnered up with Pride Industries as well, and started at an entry-level position. Actually, the one that we're hiring for right now. So anybody watching this podcast, they can come on to prideindustries.com and look under jobs, job coaching position. And it was actually working with individuals like Nona, where they had a job that they needed to go to. They needed a job coach, somebody that was able to train them and, make sure that supported them throughout the whole day so they could learn and get to be a little bit more independent each day and each time. I didn't know this is what I wanted to do. And this was 25 years ago.
Wow.
I stumbled on it, started this job, and I started a journey, a career. I fell in love, with supporting, each person that I worked with, that I wanted to do more and more. And each time there was an opportunity, for another position. Get this training, do the certificate, go ahead. And I started just seeing what else I could do. It also helped that I was bilingual. So in the area that I worked in was near the border. We were actually working and doing maintenance, type of work that was at the, trying to think of the name, it was the Border Patrol and the Customs, department there too as well. So, they needed people that could speak the language as well. So that helped out a lot. After that, I just started to see how I could grow, and then join Pride Industries in the same process. Right now, my responsibility is to support about 450 individuals, maybe 500 at this point now, that get supported on a daily basis from all of our different programs. Just like Chris was mentioning a little bit, we do have different programs. We have one-on-one, type of programs when somebody needs, a little bit more support to figure out what they want to do. Sometimes you have people that come in and like, yeah, I really want to find a job. Can you help me find a job? But you really have to go back to so what is it that you want to do? One of those questions that we always ask, and we have people that tell us, oh yeah, I would love to work in a movie theater. It's like, that's great. Why would you like to work in a movie theater? Well, I love movies and popcorn. That is awesome. But let me tell you what you would do in a movie theater. You'd go in there when the movie's not showing. You'd go in there, clean everything. You'd pick up after the people that were there, popcorn, soda, spills. And guess what? Every of those individuals that just finished the movie went to the bathroom. Guess where you're going to go next? So by the end of the conversation, they're like not so keen that they want to be working in the movie theater anymore because it's kind of sort of the type of work that they didn't think about. So that's what we try and do. We try and match up individuals with what they like doing, what companies they want to work with, because we have so many opportunities and we have so many business partners. We have the opportunity to do training at those different, companies. So with Nona, once we get into her story, she's had an opportunity to work at different, companies, has done different jobs throughout her career at Pride Industries. We've been able to provide her with a job coach, somebody that supports her on a daily basis to, you know, learn new things, new skills, but also deal with the day-to-day situations. Not all of us come to work, having that attitude, I am going to have a great day today. Knowing how to deal with that situation throughout the day, from the time you clock in to the time you go to your break, to your lunch, to the end of the day, we go through different phases throughout the day. Having that support, for the people that we serve throughout the day, it may not be showing them what they need to do for the day. It's just, if somebody's having a bad day or a situation's happening or there's an emergency that just happened, you need to make sure that everybody that's working has that support and knows how to deal with those situations. So, at this point in the support that I provide is, to the managers, to the job coach, to the business partners, just like Chris was talking about, the courthouses, we're looking at all those different things and identifying, somebody like Nona here, where else can she go and, work? More than anything, everybody wants to work, need to work. They need to have a livable wage, get a paycheck, and have a little bit of money extra so they can do what they love doing. And, without that, they won't have it. More than anything, it's just being part of the community that they live in, and they also work, and just connect them to everybody else like we do on a day in and day out. So,
And David, I think you brought up a good point back when you were talking about the movie theater and matching people, personalities with the job. I retired from a school department. I supervised 100 custodians across 23 schools. And it's amazing how many entry-level people I interviewed who thought they were going to be a custodian and have the summer off.
oh,
That's not the way it works, guys. That's when we do the majority of our work. The Christmas break, the February break, the April break that we have here on the East Coast, those are the times we work. And in our union contract, we had negotiated with the union that they could not take time off on the break periods, the 3 breaks. In the summertime, we let them take time off because there was enough time to cover up for it. But I had guys that would come to me and say, I want to stay home the day after Christmas and play with my toys with my kids and all that. And it was like, I told you that coming in, that those are the days that we work. If you wanted to do that, maybe you should have been a hairdresser. But this in this field, and then to see in September when everybody comes back to school here, the teachers coming in and say, "Wow, the place looks great. Where'd you go on vacation?" They say to the custodians. You're looking at it. This is where we were. I wish, I had 10 weeks off to go to Cape Cod every year in the summer, but that's the job that we do in the background in facilities of any type. And we don't do it on a regular schedule, like, working at a supermarket or in a law office or anything like that. It's very important to match the people and the personalities up to the job.
And it doesn't happen. Like I'm just sitting here shaking my head going, there should be coach positions in every company USA, because I have not heard, what we're talking about right now is we're coming off of the great resignation. Actually, it's a great resignation part 2, because people are still quitting. There was just a study that says that 40% of the people that have resigned from their job in the last year are looking for another new job. And what's more startling than that is 70% of the total people that resigned last year are unhappy with the job that they chose. And that means the most startling thing is there's 30% of the people in the workforce that resigned from their position in the last year that are unhappy and doing nothing about it. And I would venture to say that many of them were sold something and not told something. And what David says is, I have one of my closest friends had a ski shop. He owned a ski shop. We love skiing. And I used to be so enamored and looked at him and I was just like, he's got the best job in the world. He owns a ski shop. And so finally I said to him one day, and this was 25 years ago, I said, you are the luckiest guy in the world. You get to work where you love. He goes, but I don't get to do what I love. I don't get to go skiing because when people want to go skiing, this is the winter time. They got to buy skis. I have to be at the shop. So that's amazing. I think that's something that should be replicated everywhere. And you've just got such a way about you, David, that if you didn't tell me your title was a coach, I would say this guy's a coach. Just in the couple of minutes that you talked, and your passion and commitment for it. So Nona.
Yes.
Now we want to talk about you. We want to talk about you. We want to talk about, what a day in the life with Nona looks like. And it's obvious that you enjoy working with David. I'd love to learn.
Yes, I do. I like the whole company. Everybody's really nice to me, and I like the work and the people around me. So, yeah. And I did work on the outside too. I worked at the hospital, at Balboa Hospital, and I did janitorial for a while. I was there for like 6 years, and then I went to campus and I worked dishwashing, and I did that for like 8 years. Mm-hmm. And I liked everybody that was working with me, including my job coach. So it was really nice, but it was hard work. We had to carry a lot of, pots and pans and stuff like that. But I did it every day. I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning to catch the bus, 3 buses to get to La Jolla every day. And I got home about 6:30, and I was tired. So I went to bed.
Yeah. Went to bed to start all over again.
That's right.
Wow. Good for
3 o'clock comes early in the morning.
That was my favorite time to be at work.
To get where I had to go.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And that was a little bit of stress on me, but I did it for 6 years. So I made it.
Oh. And now what are you doing right now? What is your role?
Right now they just put me in another position. I'm doing nuts and bolts for buildings that they're going to be built. They have to hook them up to some pipes and stuff. I just started that Monday. So that's what I'm doing. I was doing bags for a while, and then they transferred me over there. So that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah. And another thing, with Nona, she's in transition, from the previous jobs that she had, including these ones right now. And that's the beauty about Pride Industries, right? You know that you can be at a job for as long as you want, but at any time during that work life and career, if you have an opportunity to change, we will support you. And right now, this is where Nona's at right now. She's done and has all of this work experience, and now we're going to help her find another job. And it could be at one of the other places like the courthouse, if there's an opening that Nona feels that this is something that aligns with her, with all of her skill sets, experience, and this is the support that we continue to provide to the people that we serve.
Yes, Nona, you've been with Pride Industries for 14 years, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's a testament in itself. First of all, the longevity of your staff, but also the fact that you're hiring the right people, not for the position, but because they're the right people, and you're finding that position. And not to do an analogy of a bus, because Nona probably doesn't ever want to go on another one with three buses to get to work. But
no, not 3. If I get a job, it's going to have to be close to my house.
Yeah, one of those. The position she might not have the right seat on the bus, but you're going to make sure that she's on the bus. And I think that's pretty darn commendable and cool, especially today where the loyalty of employees, it's not as good as it once was.
Can I jump in on that right there?
Yeah.
Because Nona described a situation that I've seen play out over so many folks in Pride Industries, that once you invest in an individual towards their success, and to have them have the purpose of employment and all that comes from that passion and dedication that you talk about, where Nona's taken 3 buses to get to work and all of that, that plays out through so many of the individuals here. And I cannot stress to your listeners any more than possible, if you can find a way to help people with disabilities be successful and employed within your organization, they are going to bond to you and they are going to be dedicated to you. And there's a sense of loyalty, joy, and bonding that you really, we all try to figure out how to establish within the traditional workforce that comes so much more naturally within this environment. And it doesn't just change. It's not just changing the life for the person with disabilities, but what you'll find is that it's changing the joy, the purpose of those around them as well. It's contagious. And
well, a lot of people are going to be listening to this and not watching it. The people that are watching it will see that Nona has been smiling and laughing and enjoying herself, and she loves her job and she loves to work with David. And I wouldn't say in many cases it's a person with disabilities. It's a person with super abilities, because they're doing things. If somebody told me, you got to take, you got your job and it's here and you got to do this, this, and this, I'd be like, I don't know. But she did it for 6 years. She did it well, and not complaining about it. And she smiles and likes her coworkers. Like, talk about a dream, that's and David for 25 years of being there and having 450 to 500 people to coach, and smile and have the realization that not every day is going to be rainbows and roses, but he's still smiling and has that passion to not just put somebody someplace because there's a need. He's placing the people because there's a fit. I think that's just phenomenal. Just absolutely phenomenal.
And that's definitely a great point. And, every person that we talk to, I mean, they're just not by themselves, right? Most of the time, their families are very interested in how we're going to be able to support, their son or daughter. And they also want to be involved. And it's not like they're going to, make decisions, for their adult child, but at the same time, what is going to happen? So that communication, not just only with Nona, but also the people around her that care for her, family members or whoever they live with, but at the same time, our business partners, everybody that we partnered with, we're very open. We discuss everything that could happen. We provide training. Not everybody who's listening or who I've worked with has experience, working with people with other abilities, let alone, some people may have family members, but some people go out through life and then now they have an opportunity where, if they work for a company and they've never been involved in hiring a person, with different abilities, this is a great opportunity. It's a win-win. We learn so much from each other. We learn what works, what doesn't work, but we also provide that information, to anybody that's hiring, the people that we serve, and that is, testament to this isn't going to, just work out itself. You really have to work at it. You have to communicate. You have to try and be on the same page, but never let up. Just keep moving forward. Things will happen. Maybe, knock on wood, like we did earlier today, the next job that Nona, is offered and that she accepts and says, this is the greatest thing ever. And then she starts doing it. And it's like the analogy that I use for the movie theater is like, oh, I have to do all this and I have to work on Sunday or Monday. I mean, we have people that come in that want to work in the retail. And we let them know, it's like, you're going to be working Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, most likely evenings. And, oh, well, I wanted my weekends off. Not if you're going to work retail. Those are the major days. So, we just continue at it and continue to work together to make sure it's a win-win for everyone.
So Nona, if you could pick any job in the world you wanted to do, what would it be?
What would I like to do?
If you could reach up and just pick a job out of the sky, what would
I
you
would
want?
like to, actually, I probably would like to work with people.
Work with people?
Yeah.
That's cool. I always thought I wanted to be an astronaut. And then I realized that you got to study a lot and you need to know math and calculations, and I couldn't do either of those very well. And then I'm claustrophobic, so if I sat in that little capsule, I just go crazy. So the astronaut thing went by the wayside. Yeah. And then I thought a podcast host, but I can't pay the bills with that either.
Yeah, we get it.
There's a lot of jobs that I like to do, but I'm not picky about where I work at, so.
As long as you have good people around you, that's
right.
That's the main thing.
People are as important as the job, that's for sure.
That's right. It's like a family to me. That's what I'm going to say. It's a big family.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I was going to ask about family involvement, and friend involvement, and caretaker involvement, because Chris, I don't know if it was in the conversation with you or something that I read when you talk about that number, the 30 million number. Many of those young adults, their caretakers or their parents, they're unable to fulfill their employment as well. Correct me if I'm wrong, and if I'm going off on something that I've read in my sleep, please tell me. But they're unable to work as well, which causes even additional strain. So there's got to be a real nice piece to this where you're helping those families, not just with Nona, but you're potentially helping their caretakers to be able to give them some relief and some ability to earn or just to have some free time.
Well, yeah, and it's exponential what's happening here, right? So first off, just at the most basic economics, right? We're fulfilling the need for a business with a person that otherwise wouldn't have an opportunity, right? Secondly, to your point, right, we're enabling the caretaking environment around them to engage more openly in the marketplace, but, maybe go from part-time to full-time or to get a job in the first place, because now they can step away because they know their loved one's taken care of and employed with purpose. And then kind of the other part of that is the overall effect that has on the social network at large, right? Is now, instead of trying to figure out how to subsidize everybody and to include the individual or potentially the family members, now everybody's in the market, and we're leaving the social burden as well, right? So it pays up and down the value chain and its economic value, not just its personal value.
Mm-hmm. So, and you've said it in a couple different ways, and so let's just say a school's going out to bid for services. You guys are responding to those bids. You're not doing. You're going just like any other company would with a staff.
That's correct.
This is okay. So that's the difference between. I wrote social enterprise, and you said it was a social.
So there's social programs, and then there's social, and there's a lot of social set aside type programs within the public procurement space, right?
Yeah.
But then there's on the social enterprise, right? It's not because the procuring organization made a choice that, I want to do, small businesses or people with disabilities or whatever specific category they hope to impact. They just went out and said, I want to procure goods and services to support my mission. And that's an environment where really as a social enterprise we compete. Kind of, we brought up courthouses for a few times here. One of my bigger clients within my portfolio is the Judicial Council of California. And they have outsourced all of their FM work. I mean, from the heavy plant maintenance and everything included to outsourced that across their portfolio. And there's 3 regions in which they do that in the state of California. We hold 2 of the 3 regions, which is by contract as much as you can. And literally, so from the south of the Oregon border to just north of the Mexican border, virtually every courthouse in the state is maintained by Pride Industries and in support of our mission to employ people with disabilities. And we get to do that in a number of ways, different continuum of disabilities and involvement, ranging from individuals who are helping to do, whether it's the landscaping or helping to do our escorting of unbadged vendors, or going out and being parts, going and getting parts and starting to give exposure to the FM environment to where potentially they will go into apprenticeship programs and maybe someday actually be in a journeyman trade. And then also great impact on, there's a huge veteran community within California. If you're up here in the north where I'm at, there's tons of Air Force people because there's lots of Air Force bases, right? You're down in San Diego, boy, you're in Navy and Marine country all day long, right? But we get to employ tons of veterans with disabilities who have skill sets in that as well. And the thing that I really should be saying to that, we have that portfolio not because our customer decided they wanted a nonprofit to run that, a social enterprise. We have that because we competed, we performed, and we've competed against for-profit companies that have no social mission whatsoever other than to provide dividends for their shareholders, right? So big names, and I won't bring in my competition's name and into it for their sake, but big FM companies that anybody would know, publicly traded, and Pride is there doing the work and providing a social value at the same time. And that's kind of on the public side, right? But one of the things that is so unknown is that, or a lot of companies should realize, is that companies that choose to have a social purpose with their spend, on average, have a 30% stock, a higher value stock than other companies. And it's because people ultimately, if given the choice between, because we all need things, and I love the Tom shoes or the Newman's Own as an example of that, right? If you like the dressing and you're buying Italian dressing, why wouldn't you buy dressing that's going to do some good for somebody else? Or if you're going to buy shoes, why wouldn't you buy shoes that is going to do somebody else? All things being equal, right? And the same is true for when you're selecting somebody to provide service to your facility, or I didn't mention a lot earlier, but we also provide a staffing agency in which our goal is not just to staff your company with people with disabilities, but also to help train your organization to help them be successful in the future employment of that. So rather than us providing as a service, like what I'm describing in my portfolio, we're trying to help your organization be successful in the employment of this group as well. So we try to find every way, and I'll be the first one to tell you, our goal is for the person, whether that's through a placement, whether it's supporting somebody working for somebody else, or whether it's providing the service, right? We're passionate about the person. We're dispassionate about how we get there, right? Because we want to see the person be successful, whether it's for us or whether it's for someone else. So.
So I don't know if everybody can hear the commotion that's going on around me, but downstairs it's kind of noisy. Okay, just wanted to make sure. If you want to work with people, I got 5 little people you can start with downstairs.
Yeah,
you can come here to Massachusetts and you can take tasks with them and take them out and teach them.
What do your grandkids call you?
Grandpa.
Grandpa?
Yeah.
They're Grandpa's upstairs. We gotta make a lot of noise. Get them down here to play with us.
Yeah, I want to know who gave them the basketball.
Yeah, well, or all the Easter candy.
Yeah, right. One grandson got a striped shirt and a whistle for his birthday last week. It's like, I don't know what you think.
I'm sending 5 drum sets over.
Yeah, right. So, perfect.
Well, this has been great and eye-opening, and one of the things that's interesting, and when you talk about outsourced service providers, there's 99,000 and some odd outsourced service providers in the country, some big and some small, but none that I've gotten to understand that have this mission that you guys have, which I think is just amazing. One of the last things I want to ask is, all those other 99,000 companies are struggling just like the 26,000 public school districts and the 25,000 college education institutions in finding qualified staff. With 30 million people that you focus a lot of your attention to, how difficult is it for you to find staff? Are you having the same difficulties, or do you have a talent pool that you can dig into should contracts arise?
Well, so I'll talk about this in a couple of things. So staffing remains a challenge for everyone, right? The biggest challenge we have right now in recruiting, specifically for people with disabilities, is there's a lot of public agencies that still have pretty substantial restrictions around related to COVID and things. So that has put kind of a damper on the ability to staff there. What I have seen though is that our staff that we support and bring on with disabilities has been more stable throughout the COVID pandemic. That's created, most unique environment I've ever seen in terms of hiring people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we don't have those folks being a great part of the great 70%, right?
Right.
The great resignation, right? They're bonded and looking for ways to continue to be successful and employed and have that purpose. Whereas our greatest challenges have existed where it's the job's open to people without disabilities, and we're just hiring off the street. Those remain challenges. I think we all share, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what the market has changed, and it's changed rapidly for what it is we do. At one point, this really used to be just the goal and purpose driven by government mandate and set aside, right? And procuring agencies that are on the public side saying, no, I want to hire a nonprofit for people with disabilities, commonly referred to as AB1 program in the federal side. There's state use is another example of that within the more municipal, state, local education markets. What's changed in that is those used to be procurements that were set aside for a really high number or percentage of people with disabilities, and as high as 75% in some cases. Well, what's happened, and it's actually a great thing for the market, and it's a great thing for people with disabilities, is there's been really strong advocacy groups that have gone out there and said, look, hey, that's not representative of an inclusive environment. We want people with disabilities to have an opportunity to be in an inclusive environment. And that means that the percentage of people with disabilities may be much lower, but it's more representative of the natural marketplace. And what's happened in that is it's really helped privatize the passion to do it, right? And it's helping to make that goal not just something that's is a social goal driven by government decision. It's driving it into that ESG metric for private companies. And that's really where, you kind of outlined it earlier, right? You said there's about 8% of the population is people identified with disabilities. That's an 8% of the workforce that's untapped is largely untapped. So if you could get every company, organization to be at 8% of their individuals that work for them with disabilities, you would have impacted the entire population.
Wow.
So it's, what pride and what any organization like us wants to be is we're not asking for your whole pie. We just want, if even it's a small slice of more pies, right, that would be more impactful, more changing, and more, just far more conducive to bringing this population of able, willing, ready, and passionate individuals into the workplace.
I love it. I mean, that's just, there it is. And I had the 8% right. There you go. My math is just amazing, Paul, isn't it? Just
absolutely. You astound me every time we speak.
Paul sits in some of my, so Paul has been, he's my go-to guy. Nona, Dave, Chris, you might know this, but Nona, Dave, you don't know this. Paul actually saved my life once. So he actually performed the Heimlich maneuver on me, and I almost choked to death. And so now every chance I get, I take Paul with me whenever there's a nice steak dinner or something that involves my excitement of food, because I love food. And so Paul travels with me a bit. We went to Ohio last week. He's going to come with me to New Hampshire next week. And he sees me speak pretty often, and I just throw these things out with these numbers that I don't even know where they come from, and it's almost always pretty accurate, right? The one I did in Massachusetts last month was I shocked myself when people were looking at me like, oh my God, he knows all those numbers there. It's his head. Very confusing place in my brain.
And I sit there with my phone and I try to fact check him on Google to make sure he's not telling too big a lie. You can stretch it, just don't break it, right?
Uncle Google doesn't lie, and neither do I.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
No, I'll tell you what, this has been great. Paul, you got any questions or
I just want to make sure I remind you that you got to do a shout out. Every podcast we do a shout out to someone that's done great things in the FM world.
The Unsung Hero Award of the week on our podcast. You're absolutely right. I don't want to forget about that. Before I do that, Chris, David, Nona, thank you for giving us some of your time and sharing some of your story. I think that what you are doing is amazing work, and just the pride, no pun intended, the pride that you all have for the work that you do every day. It's evident through the computer and verbally and visually. So thank you for joining and sharing and spending some time with us.
No, thank you so much again for the opportunity. I mean, we'll preach it from any rooftop. Anybody will give us, right? So thank you for giving us an opportunity.
This was great
to say.
Yeah.
Well, here
Yeah.
in San Diego. No, anything you want to?
Yeah. You guys have a nice day, and thank you for letting me come on.
We gotta hear the shout out first. Nobody's going.
We're gonna have you back. Yeah, we gotta do it. So Nona and Dave.
He forgets a lot. I have to keep reminding him over and over. Don't forget.
So it's the age thing. It's getting to me. But no, what we do every week is I shared that Paul saved my life. There's a reference to people in industry, especially in the maintenance and operations world, that they're unsung heroes. And I think that we want to change that to, we want to sing it from the rooftop heroes. People should know all the amazing work that you do. People should know the level of commitment that Nona has to get to work, not just to do the work, but to get to work. So we find a story of an unsung hero and we share it on our podcast every week. And so listening to you this week, what we're going to do is we want to make Nona and Dave, we're going to make you the unsung hero this week because I think both of you exemplify exactly what it is that we're looking for. It's not breaking two ribs and doing the Heimlich maneuver. It's doing great work every day, doing it with a smile on your face and the care and commitment you have. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the address. We're going to send you both a Be Awesome box. So I just need your t-shirt size. We're going to send you some Be Awesome t-shirts, some coffee mugs. We're going to send you one of these. No, I'm going to send you one of these right here. I'm glad I just happen to have it, but we're going to send you one of these. We'll send you each one of these things in case you ever have to do a long bus ride again. We got tumblers that'll keep your coffee warm or your drinks cold. And in the box, there's going to be a gift card for $100. And I want you both to go and have an amazing Mexican lunch.
Two unsung heroes this week.
Yeah, two unsung heroes. Enjoy the lunch. We'll get the boxes in the mail to you. Keep doing that awesome work. And when I get out to San Diego, and I'm bringing Paul with me.
Absolutely. Especially if he's going to eat steak.
Yeah, when I get out to San Diego, we're going to check out what was El Camino's on the hill in Little Italy, watch the planes land, and have some amazing Mexican food. So I'm gonna get out there at some point and look you guys up.
Okay.
I'll be waiting for you guys.
Yeah, we be here. We're not going to go nowhere.
Stay on till after we get off this. Once the recording stops, I'll tell you, and we'll get your address and the information to send some stuff to. And thanks again for your time. Listen, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I sure did. Paul, I know he did as well. We're really having a lot of fun here. We're at episode 15. If you're following along with Paul's hat contest, I was going to say the Pat Hall contest. I guess I was going to get my words mixed up, but the Paul's hat contest, we're 5 episodes away. I'm still working on finding a hat that we can get in under 7 months, but that's besides the point. We'll figure it out. Where there's a will, there's a way. But we really appreciate everybody's listening, following, liking, sharing. Please keep telling us what we're doing and how we're doing. If it's good, tell your friends. If it's bad, tell Paul. It's paul@beawesome.com. He's the complaint department. And just if you have anybody like you just heard today for guests that would make sense, that they're just doing awesome work, send it out to us. It's not just our friends and family. It's people that we want to learn and meet and have fun with. So in the meantime, if you can be anything, be awesome. Have a great day, everybody.